Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
Hey, Larson.
Yeah,
Let's answer some questions. What do you say?
let's do it.
Jimbo Forster says, when and if it comes down to it, what is Tony Khan more likely to do? Side with the elite and either suspend Punk or fire him outright, or side with Punk and risk the elite leaving AEW, thus alienating a majority of the locker room? There is no thought to be put in this. You side with the elite, the elite. And I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
Because there's no way in hell WWE would take CM Punk. And if the elite and Kenny Omega show up in WWE, oh boy, they will be able to say the tides have firmly turned and AEW might as well just be Impact Wrestling.
That's a good point. I mean, I agree with you from my point of view. I'm trying to answer this question from the point of view.
Take the other one. Take the other, please. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm not advocating for keeping.
Make the case.
But
absolutely.
the case is because Tony Khan says he's a numbers guy, and if he has numbers to say that CM Punk is better for business than the elite, he will side with the person who he thinks is better for the growth and continued success of his business. If he thinks that's CM Punk, that's who he will side with. I agree with you. I think if you let the elite walk and for whatever reason, and they end up in WWE, that's bad for AEW for a lot of reasons. The optics are bad. From business side, it's bad. It is bad.
They know how it works there. They know everything about AEW's business. That being said, he has a loaded roster of wrestlers who I'm sure will put their paychecks above any friendship or loyalty they might have to the elite. And if they don't have to deal with Punk, what the fuck do they care? They've got families to feed, food to put on the table. So that's the thing. I understand the elite have plenty of friends in AEW. They built AEW with Tony Khan. I get that. But you're absolutely right. If he looks at the numbers and says, well, the Young Bucks aren't quite the draw they were, I've got FTR. I've got now an entire trios division. I've got a lot that I can still work with. I've got Swerve in Your Glory. Either of those guys could be top singles guys, or he can continue to build them as stars. He got the Acclaimed. He's got a loaded roster.
Yeah, totally.
Where if he wants to move it away from the elite, if in his mind, and we don't know the specifics of the Cody stuff, but if one of the issues was Cody's an EVP trying to exercise some power that he might contractually feel he's obligated, if he's got three other guys and Tony Khan's like, look, I know I can run this business better without having to deal with them, and I've got CM Punk, Mox, and Jericho, and Danielson, and Adam Cole, there's the case. He's got a loaded roster, and if he thinks that dealing with the EVPs is too much to deal with, guys who, according to Punk, are leaking stuff to the media, that's a tough decision to make. But I don't know that he doesn't go with Punk,
Yeah. I mean, if he's a numbers guy, an analytics guy, I feel like he would go whichever way the analytics led him.
I think you're right. I think that he's always done that. I think he's fine saying, even when he, I think you're right. This is good. WrestleFest. With all the craziness that's gone down, predicting the next 4 world champions would be very fun. So clearly MJF should be the next one, right?
MJF is going to be next, yeah.
MJF is next.
I mean, if they hadn't botched Wardlow's story,
it should be Wardlow after that.
It probably should have been Wardlow next, but given his trajectory, I don't know if that's the case.
I think with MJF as champion, you make a really good case.
Our champion.
You have a very good case of trying to do you have new motivation.
Yeah. You kind of get a do-over of the Double or Nothing.
You
match.
do, absolutely. Yeah. And then Wardlow's our champion. Nick Rutherford, what do you think AEW's budget for Cold Spray is?
I mean, one of those cans lasts a little while.
I think they probably use 2 cans an episode. That's like,
wow, that's a lot.
Well, he comes out there. I think he's pretty, liberal with how he uses. He keeps his hands on the button, just keeps on doing it. I think it's probably cheap. It's probably less than $10 an episode.
Oh, I would think that.
Which would be, so what is that? $520.
It probably costs way less to buy a year's worth of cold spray than it did to get the rights for Sympathy for the Devil for one night.
When does Bane the Elite drop?
Usually Mondays.
That's going to be interesting.
You got that right. Zach Anderson. Should Tony Khan release CM Punk? It sounds crazy, but from reports in that media scrum, he's been overstepping. Tony Khan has apparently made a lot of enemies, so much so the EVPs threatened to quit. He's very talented, but is he worth all the mess?
Again, it's up to Tony Khan and his numbers to determine that.
Yep, and if he looks at numbers and CM Punk still plus Delta, he's going to keep him. He is.
Neely Bobber says, looking at AEW and the situation they're in with Punk, do you think that WWE had the same issues with Punk when he worked there? I think so. And I know we're probably going to get this question here somewhere. Under Vince McMahon, that shit don't fly. Vince McMahon, number one, I think that's why Vince McMahon, the little media scrum we saw the other day after WWE's press conference, it was all kayfabe. It was like Triple H getting up there. Everybody seems like they're in a better mood there in WWE.
I know, it was fun. It was light,
right?
Fun.
Yeah, they're all having fun with the press and everything. And then you get Phil and his muffin up there. Fuck them.
Yeah, with his voice pitched down, like a fifth, 7 steps.
What kind of empty-headed fucking idiot would take advice from me?
Yeah, I know. Darth Vader respirator.
But yeah, I mean, dude, under so in the WWE, I think it was clear that Punk's ego issues were still a thing. It's just what he had Vince and Triple H and other people that sort of held other wrestlers in higher regard than him. So it's like, what is he gonna do?
Exactly. I know. It's interesting going back and watching that promo bit on SmackDown between Punk and Triple H, the one where Triple H says, Punk, you want change only if it benefits yourself. That stuff.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And seeing and wondering how much of what they were saying to each other was deeply rooted in fact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how much going off script happened in that promo, or a lot of the promos that Punk was in WWE.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, dude, I honestly think that he's like a fucking toddler, when they get to that point where they got to have the limits of their parents, And what kind of parent is Tony Khan going to be? Is he going to put his foot down, or is he anyone who's like just lets his kid run wild whatever the fuck they want to?
I hope you're proven wrong, but right now doesn't look like he's going to be putting his foot down.
You don't think CM Punk's going to go on timeout? Because I don't think he's going to.
We're going to find if this fight happened backstage, and punches were thrown, and no one gets suspended.
Ooh.
And he got suspended for less. He didn't throw a punch. I think he pie-faced.
Yeah,
Sammy.
That's the report.
No punches were thrown, and he was suspended for a couple weeks.
Yeah. FSI says, people say this wouldn't happen under Vince. What do you think are the factors that made that the case? And yeah, this is going back to what I just mentioned.
In WWE, you're handed a script, and you're supposed to do your promo like the words that were in the script.
Right, yeah.
So there wouldn't be any going into business for yourself. And if you did, you'd get lectured about it backstage.
You'd get fined. A massive amount of money.
You probably would lose a push potentially. Unless you're a top guy.
I mean, honestly, man, that's the thing. You gotta put your fucking foot down. You gotta make examples out of people. You gotta be like Logan Roy. But Tony Khan in his Wrestling Observer podcast said that Succession is one of his four top favorite shows of all time. And
did he say what the other 3 were?
He did. Can you guess? It's a show that one of them is a show that you and I have never really watched or discussed, but it was like one of the biggest shows on HBO.
Carnival?
No.
Oh, Sopranos?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Another one is one of our favorites, basically a spinoff from your favorite sitcom of all time.
Well, that's Seinfeld. Is it Veep?
No, man, come on.
Curb. Okay,
Curb.
yeah.
And then
does Tony Khan only watch HBO?
I think he was really trying to push the relationship between HBO Max.
Did he say Shark Week was his favorite other favorite TV show?
He brings up he brings up Succession, and then honestly I forget what the other one, but it was another HBO show.
Gotcha.
And it wasn't Deadwood. I forget what it was. It was another popular HBO show, and I don't think it was Game of Thrones either. Anyways, now look, because Vince was a real boss. Vince owned it all, which Tony Khan does too, but Vince owned it all. He kept everybody in check. He was a little bit crazy, maybe a lot bit crazy. You wouldn't fuck with that. You were part of the machine. And in a situation where a bunch of the wrestlers are part of the machine, we saw that in WCW, and it's like, yes, I'm going to make that parallel now. When you got some of the wrestlers running shit, sometimes it doesn't work too well.
No. Adrian P asked, who's in the right, Punk or the Elite? Both. Neither. Are the Elite actually good for business? They draw, sure, but what about their booking choices? Let's assume that everything that was said during the media scrum by Punk had some truth to it, that somebody, one of the EVPs, leaked rumors to the wrestling media. If that is the case, then they are obviously in the wrong for doing that. Mm-hmm. You should not be doing that. You shouldn't be trying to undermine one of your fellow wrestlers in that like that. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I think Punk was in the wrong for going so hard after Paige. And this is just a difference in personality between he and I.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I wouldn't have handled things the same way he did. If to be fair to Punk, if he tried to talk to everybody backstage and it felt like he was talking to a wall and the only way he could get his point of view across after feeling like his name had been besmirched in the media was to do this, I get it, but it doesn't come off. It's not a good look.
No, it's not. Especially when you're talking about a guy's mom. To go that deep into the lawsuit stuff with Colt Cabana, when Colt Cabana does not have a microphone to defend himself, is tacky. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely tacky. And it really it tells on a person,
And like I said, earlier on the main show, if he had just come out and said, it's nobody's business who I'm friends with, or if I'm friends with Colt Cabana or I'm not. As far as people saying I cost him his job here, there's no truth to that, and anybody who says otherwise is not telling the truth. If he had left it at that, fine.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
he got his point across. He had opportunity to defend himself against these rumors, and you move on.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Yeah, if somebody asks about the Hangman stuff, and that say, look, there was a creative disagreement. And I handled it in a way that I'm not, I lowered myself to being unprofessional in the ring because that's what he did, but he didn't cop to that. It should be about about what you're showing people on TV. That's it. You're a traveling theater troupe. Yep. That's what you are. What the play matters, not your weird fucking. You don't go off, in the middle of a goddamn soliloquy. And
about how you despise everybody else in your acting troupe. I know. I mean, he said, like, I'm working here with children, he said,
Yeah, I'm working. This guy has me working here with
even if you're
children.
not, in the Elite's inner circle or on his inner circle, you hear this, you're like, is he talking about me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah, I know exactly.
Does he think so little of all of us?
Yeah. The Enforcer here has a question we're going to end on. Because a lot of these questions, we got a lot of questions, but they're all kind of in the same vein, asking variations on stuff we've already addressed. But the Enforcer this is the main event question here. He says, 1 year ago today, Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole debuted in AEW. Fast forward, Cody's gone. CM Punk and Hangman air dirty laundry. MJF holds TK hostage and seems to be the number one contender. 1 year ago, the end of the beginning, and last night, the beginning of the end of AEW.
What a difference a year makes. Because a year ago, AEW's loaded with all this talent. Then they add Punk and Danielson and Adam Cole. And we said it then, and I've said it several times since. It felt like a pivot point where if AEW handles things right, they book their show well. If they use the established talent to help raise the profile of their up and coming talent, like this could lead not immediately, but this could lead to something really huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then here we are a year later, if we're wondering if AEW is basically imploding.
Yeah. I will suggest this. I'm usually an optimist at heart. I think that there's a couple things that makes right now AEW bulletproof, and that's Tony Khan has an obscene amount of money, and they still do really well in the rating. They always either win or come in number 2, depending on the competition on their night. They've got an obscene amount of talent, any of which can be elevated to a main event level. They have some incredible names on their roster still that have nothing to do with drama. Jericho, Mox, Cole, Danielson, Keith Lee, Swerve Strickland, The Acclaim, Jade Cargill, their entire women's division. They're loaded with talent. Maybe Warner's Discovery might have a meeting with Tony Khan and say, hey, do we need to be worried about any of this? Because, we're in a relationship with you. Tony Khan spoke very highly about his relationship with Warner Discovery. Talked up their House of Dragon integration, their Shark Week integration. Everybody was really happy about that. Could he be lying? Sure. I don't know. But, given that they seem to love to use AEW for those integrations, I see no reason to think that he is lying. Yeah. From a business standpoint, they do incredible pay-per-view numbers. They do incredible house numbers. Their ratings are great. Until you see that stuff start to go, which we have not, then I'll believe that they're on the verge of business-wise imploding.
Collapse,
of collapse. Totally. So, yeah. I mean, he said also in an interview that AEW is on pace to gross $100 million this year. Now, I don't know what that means in terms of their net.
Yeah.
But if the idea is all signs are pointing to probably 3 times multiplier when it comes to their newest TV deal.
Yeah.
They'll be fine. They will be fine. If the ratings start to tank, then we'll talk about that at a different time.
Yeah. If it's a scenario where whatever disputes are happening inside the company are leading to a lack of quality that's presented to us on television, and therefore people stop watching because of the dip in quality, then that's a different conversation. Maybe that's the case if anything leads to a dip in quality.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Whether it's backstage drama or something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I don't think this is the end of AEW. No, I think that they're probably going to be around for a long time. I hope they get these issues settled. It seems like it's either going to cool out or shit's going to get even worse before it gets better. Maybe last night was the worst of it, and now cooler heads will prevail. I don't know, but certainly we're going to be keeping an eye on it.
Yeah,
and yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. You can check out yesterday's podcast. It's on the screen right now, and another video of ours. We're not on the screen right now. It's like it's a card. It's like a little end template
like
card.
Floating, clickable little video.
Maybe YouTube will let us do that at some point. They'll let us sort of have an animated video floating around here, and then people have to try to get it. It's like a mini
try
game.
To get it. I know exactly.
Yeah. Anyways, that's going to do it. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notify bell. Talk to you later.
Goodbye.